We were told that AI would make us richer, smarter tools, faster workflows, fewer mistakes, and maybe finally, higher salaries. That was the promise. More productivity means more profit, and more profit means better pay. Sounds fair, right? Like basic economics. But reality didn't get the memo. AI headlines are booming, and so are layoffs. Amazon, Microsoft, UPS, thousands of workers gone replaced not by robots, but by a story about robots. Executives call it AI transformation, but it sounds more like cost cutting with better PR. They say automation makes us efficient, but efficient for who? Because for the people doing the work, efficiency now means redundancy. We were supposed to share in the gains of automation. Instead, we're being written out of the equation. Maybe AI isn't replacing humans. Maybe it's just replacing the reasons to pay them. Because in this new economy, the machines get smarter, but the people get cheaper. Every headline says the same thing: AI is transforming the way we work. But when you look closer, it's not transformation, it's justification. At Amazon, executives bragged that AI was streamlining operations. A few hours later, another spokesperson admitted the layoffs were really about cutting management layers and resetting culture. So was it automation or overhiring? At UPS, 12,000 jobs vanished, not because robots replaced drivers, but because the company shut down 93 buildings and walked away from low-margin contracts, the kind that make investors nervous. Target said automation was to blame too. But the truth was simpler: flat sales, rising tariffs, and customers spending less on nice-to-haves. That's not innovation, that's economics. AI has become the perfect scapegoat. Because we cut jobs for profit sounds heartless, but AI made us more efficient sounds visionary. That's AI washing, when companies use the language of technology to disguise the logic of cost-cutting. The story of AI has become a brand in itself, a silver bullet for every executive under pressure. It's easier to say, we're investing in the future, than to admit we mismanaged the past. So when margins shrink, leaders reach for buzzwords: AI transformation, smart optimization, digital reset, each one designed to sound progressive while distracting from what's actually regressive. The narrative becomes its own product. A talking point for earnings calls a headline for investors, a justification that travels faster than truth. And it works brilliantly. Because technology isn't just changing how we work, it's changing how we explain our mistakes. AI did it is the new. The market shifted. It's an excuse with prestige, a way to turn layoffs into innovation stories, budget cuts into strategic pivots, and shareholder appeasement into visionary leadership. The irony is that the companies shouting loudest about AI disruption are often the ones using it the least. But it doesn't matter, perception now is productivity. If you sound futuristic enough, you don't need to be efficient, you just need to look like it. Behind every promise of AI-driven productivity, there's a spreadsheet quietly asking, how many people can we remove, and still call it progress? AI gets the blame, but the real reason for these layoffs isn't technology, it's the economy. After the pandemic boom, companies grew too fast. Cheap money, record profits. Easy hiring, everything looked unstoppable. But when interest rates rose and demand cooled, the growth story fell apart overnight. Wall Street didn't change its expectations, just its patience. Investors wanted the same profits, but in a slower economy. So executives started trimming the only costs they could actually control: labor. It's not automation, it's adjustment. But adjustment doesn't sound innovative on CNBC. AI transformation does. AI just arrived at the perfect time, a shiny scapegoat for an old problem. It gave every downsizing decision a headline that sounded visionary. Call it transformation, and you sound bold. Call it correction, and you sound broke. That's the irony. Companies aren't firing people because AI made them obsolete. They're firing people because their forecasts were fantasies. Profit expectations didn't shrink, but the economy did. And instead of adjusting their goals, they adjusted their payrolls. AI didn't start the layoffs. It just made them easier to explain. So yes, AI changed the story, but not the plot. If AI really made everyone more productive, then everyone's income should be rising too. But that's not what's happening. because the gains from automation aren't being shared, they're being concentrated. The economy is starting to look like a video game, millions of players, but only a few score the points. In gaming, they call those players whales, the ones who spend control and shape the entire game. That's what the real economy has become, a whale economy. Most workers are just the background players keeping the system running, while a small elite collects the rewards. Look around. Luxury brands are breaking sales records. Lamborghini has sold more cars in the past decade than in its entire history. Stores like Erewhon sell $20 smoothies and can't restock fast enough. Meanwhile, wages for the average worker barely move. AI didn't change that, it accelerated it. When machines replace labour, the value of human time drops. But the value of ownership data assets, shares, soars. AI was supposed to make labour more valuable. Instead, it made capital almost untouchable. Smarter machines created smarter profits, just not for the people who were supposed to benefit. Because every new layer of automation creates a new layer of ownership, and ownership scales faster than effort. The code that replaces 1,000 workers belongs to one company, the patents that power that code belong to one investor, and the data that trains it belongs to everyone, yet rewards no one. We like to say AI democratizes opportunity, but in practice it privatizes efficiency. The same algorithm that boosts productivity also centralizes control, funneling the rewards to whoever owns the infrastructure behind it. Nvidia sells the shovels, Microsoft rents the cloud, and the rest of the economy pays for access just to stay in the game. That's the paradox of progress. The more we automate, the more we concentrate. Every intelligent system widens the gap between those who build the machines and those who are replaced by them. For the worker, AI is a tool. For the shareholder, it's leverage. And leverage always wins. But leverage doesn't just change who profits, it changes who decides. When algorithms determine which jobs matter, which voices get heard, and which skills deserve pay power, stops being negotiated, it gets automated. The middle class, once the engine of stability, becomes an afterthought in a system that no longer needs it. AI doesn't just optimize labour, it optimizes hierarchy. And the higher the hierarchy climbs, the less human it becomes. So when people talk about an AI boom, what they really mean is a capital boom. The whales are feeding on the current, not creating it. And just like in every speculative wave, .coms, crypto housing those who control the narrative, surf the profits, while everyone else watches the tide pull back. AI was never just about intelligence, it was about influence, who gets to define progress, and who gets left working for it. AI was supposed to make companies smarter, to help humans think bigger, experiment faster, and create more. But when you cut the people who make innovation possible, what's left isn't intelligence, it's fear. Inside these AI-transformed companies, there's a new kind of silence, and the people who survived the layoffs aren't celebrating efficiency, they're trying not to be next. Managers stop taking risks. Teams stop challenging bad ideas. Everyone just keeps their head down while executives keep saying the word innovation. Psychologists call it the survivor syndrome, when the people who stay behind lose trust, motivation, and creativity. Because it's hard to build the future when you're terrified of being part of the past. Bloomberg calls this the innovation paradox. The more companies cut in the name of AI, the harder it becomes for AI to actually deliver value. They invest in intelligence, then eliminate the human conditions that make it work. You can automate processes. You can automate data, but you can't automate imagination. And without imagination, even the smartest machine stops learning. AI was supposed to raise our productivity, and with it, our paychecks. But somewhere along the way, that equation stopped adding up. Because productivity only matters if the people behind it share in the rewards. And right now, those rewards are flowing upward to investors, executives, and the algorithms that made them richer. The layoffs we've seen aren't signs of progress. They're symptoms of a system that measures success by efficiency, not equality. A system where technology evolves faster than the morals guiding it. AI didn't make the world unfair, it just made that unfairness more efficient. The truth is simple, AI isn't replacing workers, it's replacing the reasons to pay them. Because when profit becomes the only goal, every innovation turns into an excuse to cut costs. But progress isn't about how smart our machines become, it's about how wisely we use them. And if AI is truly the smartest thing we've ever built, then maybe the smartest thing we can do is remember who it was built for. Not to make life cheaper, but to make it better.